The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Brett Okamoto.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
Well, hello, fight fans. Welcome into beautiful Las Vegas, another edition of UFC Best Bets. We will be talking about a main event from the Apex between number one ranked Brandon Royval and Tatsuro Taira, who has been on an absolute tear thus far in the UFC. We'll see if he can keep it going, and if we can keep it going with some good bets here for you on this UFC Fight Night. Hello, welcome in, Brett Okamoto alongside Ian Parker, who was there with me at Salt Lake City last week for UFC 307. Alex Bejeda with a phenomenal performance. I know we had Alex Bejeda. What else did we have at UFC 307? How did we do at the window, Mr. Parker?
The night could have been a lot better if the judges would have opened their eyes. In the main event, we had over 1.5 rounds as a best bet. We did have Pereira as the anchor of our parlay. Raquel Pennington we had. This one absolutely killed me, Brett, because I thought she won the fight. We also had her by decision in a prop. Kevin Holland, very unfortunate with an injury. That one got us out. Thompson and Buckley, the fight to go the distance was looking great until Buckley put his lights out, and he put out mine as well. But, you know, bittersweet because Buckley was part of our parlay. We had Hernandez, we had Tisha Pennington, and we had Pennington as well by decision as a prop. We hit our Parker's parlay. The long shot parlay, Brett, we lost both fights by split decision with Aldo and Marina Rodriguez, which I thought both won. Very challenging when the judges get involved to this extent. And Brett, I want to say one thing with this coming week, and this is something I'm going to tell all of our viewers to do with betting. Raquel Pennington was a minus 1,200 in the last 10 seconds of that round. If this fight's close and odds are like that, just throw something on the underdog at this point and hedge it, because the judges, we just cannot trust them.
Yes, so judging was a big point of discussion following UFC 307. Hopefully that will not be the case as we go into UFC Fight Night here on Saturday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. All of these fights taking place on ESPN Plus. Is a 6-fight main card. All of the odds that you see there presented by ESPN BET. We're going to get a pick from Ian in every single one of them, as always. And let's start with that 125-pound main event with Royval plus 245, Tatsuro Taira minus 310. I will say that I took a little look here before we started the show, if you were wondering, because it's exactly where my mind went. Brandon Royval was plus 240 against Brandon Moreno, and he was plus 160 against Alejandro Pantoja. So Tatsuro Taira is being treated here basically as a championship matchup. He is that big of a favorite against Brandon Royval. Is that correct, or is there maybe a little bit of value on the dog here?
You know what? I think for Brandon Royval, he's live in any matchup just because he is so unpredictable. But you know he's in every fight. He's tough. Against Pantoja, he was controlled the entire time, and Pantoja's a nightmare to deal with in general. I thought he lost to Brandon Moreno, but again, he really is in there. He comes forward. He does not get tired. However, Brett, to answer your question to the full extent, Tatsuro Taira should be a 2 to 3 to 1 favorite here because he matches Royval everywhere, and I think he's better where Royval is very good. Royval's got a great guillotine. I think Tatsuro Taira is better at jiu-jitsu. On the feet, Royval has power. We've seen Tatsuro Taira knock people down. Both guys aren't the most elite technical strikers, but Tatsuro Taira can match him there. I think we're looking at a future champion, Tatsuro Taira. Royval's a good matchup. You know, for Royval, here's his biggest flaw, in my opinion. He gets a little too nuts. He puts himself in very compromising positions on the ground because he's overly confident in his jiu-jitsu, and that's when he gets tapped. That's when he gets caught. It happened with Moreno the first time around. For me, I do like Tatsuro Taira here. I think this is someone that can present some issues to Pantoja if the fight goes to the floor, but he's got to get through the raw dog first. He's got to get through Royval, and Royval is going to bring pressure. He's going to keep going. I'm a believer in Tatsuro Taira. I think he gets this done inside the distance. I'm not going to lay the money line on him. The MMA is too crazy. The number's too high. But I believe at minus 105, I do think Tatsuro Taira at some point will get the back of Royval, get a choke, call it a day, and then he'll be the next one to fight Pantoja.
Okay, so you got a -105 pick there on Tatsuro Taira, which, by the way, I've had obviously been talking about this fight around the industry. You are not the first person, of course, to say that you believe Taira is a future champion. So we'll keep an eye on that in the main event, and we will move on to the co-main event. 185 pounds, Brad Tavares taking on Jun-Young Park, who quietly 7-2 in his last 9 fights, and he comes in at -190 here against Brad Tavares, who is +160. What do we think of this co-main event?
How do you not love the Iron Turtle? He's been sneaky rising up the ranks. Great cardio, good durability. When he's got you on the ground, he keeps moving, keeps changing positions, so he's not going to get stood up. He is fighting someone, though, in Tavares, who is a very tough litmus test, seasoned veteran. You know, for me, Brett, I don't think either one of these guys are getting finished here, so I'm going to play it, I hate to say safer, but I do think it's going to go over 2.5 rounds. I think we're going to see bell to bell. And when it comes to someone like Jun-Young Park, he doesn't really fight to finish. Tavares is not a guy, unless he gets dropped. I don't think Park has that power on the feet to do so. Tavares is also challenging to take down. I think Park can eventually do it when he does. It's going to be, I don't want to call it lay and pray. I think he'll get enough damage on top to score rounds. So over 2.5. And I also would lean, if you want to take a side, Park by decision here. But this fight's going all 3.
So that takes care of the main and co-main. How about the 170-pound between Chidi Njokuano and Jared Gordon? Chidi at -175 here, Ian.
Brad, give me Chidi in this one. This fight probably will stay on the feet, in which Chidi is the much better kickboxer. Gordon likes to get wild. Chidi more technical, carries more power. Unless Gordon get this fight to the floor, I don't see happening. Give me Chidi, get his hand raised at the end of this one.
All right, from there we go to lightweight, where Garrett Dawson's still trying to capture some of that momentum that Bobby Green took from him. He'll look to do so against Rafa Garcia as a big favorite. Who do you got?
We saw Dawson get back to form in his last fight against Selecki. He's fighting someone, Rafa Garcia, who is very durable, very strong, tough guy. However, Dawson should take this down and make it a typical Grant Dawson fight, in which Dawson gets this done by decision. He's a -450 favorite for a reason. I think it's going bell to bell with Dawson on top.
Alex Morono lost as a 3-1 favorite in his last fight. He comes back here as a +175 underdog to D-Rod. You like Rodriguez in the over here?
I do. So at -210, it's a little high for me just to take D-Rod, but for him an over 1.5, I like that. This fight should stay on the feet as well. Rodriguez is the better striker. Morano, I think we're starting to see that decline with his age and with the performance lately. He's a little slower. His cardio didn't even look that great. So at over 1.5, we get that number down to -130 with Rodriguez winning as well. Let's go.
All right, and the number 6 fight on the main card, it is at 185 pounds. Abdul Razak Al Hassan taking on Josh Frem. You like Al Hassan here as the favorite. How come?
Because he's going to knock out Frem and send him to the shadow realm. Frem, I think, is one of the lesser talented guys in the division. Al Hassan, very tough when the fight is standing. His power is through the roof. He doesn't really make a whole lot of mistakes in his last fight. Well, he did hit Brundage in the back of the head by accident. Al Hassan should get this done. Should get it done by TKO KO. You're getting good numbers there. I don't see how Frem wins this fight.
All right, so 6 fights on the main card, 6 picks from Ian Parker. And before we get to the prelims, we're going to discuss those here in a second. Our props of the night, I've been told, are all on this main card. So what are we going for props of the night at UFC Fight Night, Ian?
Main event, I'm going to take Tatsuro Taira here inside the distance at -105. I think that Royval is going to get a little too reckless, and he's going to get caught at some point, probably by submission. And Grant Dawson, I think he's going to out-wrestle Garcia for 3 rounds by decision. So let's go. It's Tatsuro Taira inside the distance, Dawson by decision. Those are going to be our props of the night.
All right, there takes care of our props of the night. So as mentioned, let's go to the prelims. You can find those on 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. You can find those also on ESPN+. Go ahead and run us through all of your prelim picks at the UFC Apex this weekend.
Ramazan Tarimov is a -380 favorite against the tough CJ Vergara. However, I'm going to take a flyer on this prop here by TKO at +300. He has a lot of those type of finishes prior to coming to the UFC. Let's see if he can catch Vergara there. Give me JSP over Pat Sabatini. We're going to go Garimbo. If you're going to take him, he's a big favorite. Look for that double method of victory by TKO, KO, or decision when the odds are released. Either one of those props, I think he'll get it done. Tafa in this fight, taking on newcomer Sean Sharab. I think he also gets this done by TK or KO, so keep an eye out for that. Let's go Pilastri, Haddon, and Clay Carpenter, all three on the money line to get it done. And those are going to be our prelims.
Okay, so we got prelims out of the way. We got the main card out of the way. Let's get to the main part of the show, and that is the fun stuff. Then we're going to start with a long shot parlay for UFC Fight Night. Where are we going on this one?
Last week, 2 split decisions I felt we really had right there. So let's get it this week. We're going to go with Jung Young Park, the Iron Turtle, to beat Tavares by decision. D-Rod by decision, and Abdul Razak Al Hassan by TKO or KO. We're getting over plus 900 here. I think all those 3 are very live. Let's go.
Oh, yes. That looks like a very, very manageable 3-teamer for a payout of plus 934. How about Parker's parlay at the UFC Apex?
Was happy we hit it last week, essentially sweat-free. Let's hope to do it again this week. 3 favorites at plus 129. Give me Dawson, give me Garimbo, and give me Clayton Carpenter. Brett, keep an eye on Carpenter. I think this kid is going to be a very fun prospect to watch along the way. I think it all starts with this Saturday.
So after a little bit of bad luck, took out some of our best bets last week. We're hoping for some good luck here this week and some good picks, of course. Best bets for UFC Fight Night, Ian.
Have a funny feeling that this week the judges are not going to matter that much in some of these fights. Let's go with Chidi and Giochiani over Jared Gooden. Let's go D-Rod to win in over 1.5 rounds, bringing that minus 210 to minus 130. Abdul Razak Al Hassan over Josh Fremd at minus 170. If you don't like that number, it's a little higher for you. Take him to win inside the distance or TK or KO. I think that fight happens that way. Give me JSP over Pat Sabatini. JSP is a dog. I don't see Sabatini beating him on the feet anywhere close. If it is to happen, it becomes a grapple match. I trust Pierce's wrestling over Sabatini's jiu-jitsu. And last but not least, give me Coded Haddon here over Argueta. I like Haddon in this spot. Good prospect as well. Got great hands. Let's see what he can do.
There you go. There are your Parker's best bets, and you got the parlays, you got the props, you've got a little bit of a lean there on every single fight. We appreciate you watching UFC Best Bets. Hopefully we had a little bit of fun. Hopefully we gave you some good info to put some money in your wallets. Enjoy the fights, ESPN Plus this weekend, and we will be right back to talk about the next round of fights again on ESPN Plus next week. Tune in. We'll see you then. Enjoy the weekend.